All right, Packers fan. It's your bye week. It's one of your favorite weeks of the entire season. How did
Thank
your
God.
day go? Did you like it? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
It was a tough one because there was like good fantasy stuff, but really bad, like worst gambling day of my entire life, probably. Just not good. So I had to fall right in the middle at an even five.
This is one of those days, though, where like you can go out on Saturday night and maybe have a little bit more to drink because you don't really have too much for responsibilities because your team isn't playing a typical noon game. Did you go out? Did you take advantage of it, or did you play it safe?
I'm a father. I stayed inside and just drank beers on my own.
Well, in that case, let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
Shit, yeah, boy. Because we never finished first because we finished last. I'm so
Ah,
focused on my beer.
I love it. I love it. Hey, you got it in there. We got a little beer crack this time. And because you didn't go out last night, you're not super hungover and you're able
Nope.
to have a beer while we podcast. I might go get one while you're talking here. That looks pretty damn good right now. Because we're here. It's Sunday night. We just witnessed the action from week 7. Wild week, man. Wild week. We got kickers that suck nailing 60-yarders. We got teams going for 2-point conversions. We got reliable kickers missing extra points. I mean, wild week and a great week for you. You got to soak it all in without having to worry about your favorite
It
team
was so nice.
playing.
So nice. Yeah. That's like, especially with how stressed that the Packers have made me, I needed this week to relax
For the
and
heart.
watch. But losing 7 bets doesn't really help.
So the anxiety and everything that you took off of your heart and your future like health from the Packers not having to worry about the Packers playing, you put more on it because of the fact that you lost 7 bets or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I lost the G easily today.
Ooh, yeah. All right. Well, this is our Week 7 Instant Reactions podcast. Let's get it kicked off because we had a
Let's get it
damn
popping.
early game today. So, not sure who was all awake for this one. I know a lot of our audience likes to indulge in some alcohol, so it might have been a little early morning for you. But the Chargers hang on to beat the pesky Titans 20-19. What is your instant reaction, single syllable?
My single syllable instant reaction is coming to America here. It's like nobody wants these damn early games, okay? All these games, and who are you going to cater to? You want to cater to the American audience. So play all the games in America because you know what? Me and probably the rest of you listening, I don't want to have to remember to adjust my fantasy lineup when I was hammered drunk the night before. And then I had to get up the next morning and be like, oh shit, this guy, Melvin Gordon's not playing today or whatever. So it's like, that's ridiculous. You're going to play in another country, play in Canada, play in Mexico City, play somewhere that you can play at 12. Otherwise, play them at nighttime so that it coincides with the 12 o'clock games. Don't make them play at 9 in the morning. It fucks everything up. I don't even watch the game. I was like, oh shit, there's a game on. I was literally walking around at like 9:30, and then I was like, oh fuck, there's a game on this morning.
Yeah.
And so then I looked at the score and I was like, oh,
See,
this is what the hell.
they've already got us all sucked in. The NFL wins. The NFL is like that movie, that draft day movie. They said it perfectly. The NFL owns a day of the week. Like they own Sundays,
Yeah.
especially in America. So they're like, okay, we already got these guys. That's why they go overseas. I'm with you. Every single thing you said. But if I have to play devil's advocate, if I have to wear my Roger Goodell mask, like, yeah, that's why they're doing it. They're not trying to be mean to us. They're just trying to expand.
It's they're being mean to us.
Yeah, I don't like
It's
it
not-
either. I don't like it.
Nobody's ever going to watch it.
I'm going to talk more about that whole situation about playing overseas here later in the podcast. But my single syllable instant reaction is cojones. Because I loved the Titans going for 2 in the end of that game. They score a touchdown. It's only a few seconds left in the game. You kick or go into overtime potentially, or you go for 2. Well, the extra point's not a for sure thing either. We just saw the best kicker in the NFL in Justin Tucker miss one to potentially go into overtime. So what if the Titans missed that? And then you just said like, okay, you typically watch your pregame, and then you jump into the first noon games or 1 if you're on the East Coast. All those analysts were saying, oh, that was ridiculous. Why wouldn't you kick it? Like they made the coach look like an idiot. But at the same token, if they would have went for it, which they did go for 2 and didn't get it, if they'd have made it, they'd have been like, great play. You had a chance to win the game. You had a chance to end it. They always just play whatever side ends up happening. That's a good play in my like, if I'm the coach in that situation, why not go for it?
I think the other thing was like they didn't want to give the Europeans the satisfaction of having a tie game because soccer. So they didn't want to make it seem like too much like a soccer game. I think he had that in mind. So he's like, I'm going for 2. Screw it.
Right. I don't want to put too much more attention onto this game than we already have, but I want to do one more hypothetical here because I thought about putting this as a Twitter poll earlier today. Are you more excited for when these games are in the morning? Are you more excited to actually watch that game, or do you just put it on kind of in the background, and do you watch your normal pregame to the game you're going to watch?
So I watch all my normal pregame on my TV and put that game on the little TV that I have, and I barely even pay attention to it, honestly.
Right.
It's always like second to whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I feel the same exact way, and I'd be interested to know how many other people are like that. Like, I like the idea of a game being on, but it's like, okay, it's one game. I'm about to be able to watch 7. Like, it just doesn't do it for me.
And I'm not even, I'm giving it no attention. I was walking around, cleaning stuff up, watching my kid, forgot that it was on, watching pregame stuff, trying to get stuff up on Twitter, and it's like, oh, I literally forgot 3 or 4 different times that game was. I'm not even kidding. I was like, oh shit, this game's still on.
Right.
Oh, it's going to go in overtime.
Right. Well, let's go on to a wild finish. The Patriots beat the Bears 38-31. If you missed how this one ended, Trubisky chucks up a Hail Mary. Kevin White comes down with it at the 1. The Patriots kind of gangbang him to take him down at the 1. He literally can't get the ball extended. Such a crazy ending, but what is your instant reaction to this one?
Donna, say it ain't so, me.
Well done. Keep the music theme alive.
Like that, this is like my opportunity to sing all the time. So when I go famous, just from singing on here, it's my boy Sony Michel. Broke my heart. Went out with a knee injury. Could be a killer for lots of fantasy teams, specifically mine. I don't care about yours. I got Sony Michel essentially as my number 1 back in 2 out of 3 of my leagues because when one Le'Veon isn't playing, I'd have both the combination of them when Le'Veon comes back. With Hyde being traded. What is Google Hangouts doing? With Hyde being traded, I essentially had to... With Hyde being traded to the Jaguars, Fournette potentially coming back, and now Sony Michel, potentially 2 out of 3 of my leagues.
Yeah.
I have both of those guys as my starting running backs. So I could literally have to, just flank in running backs, and I might be screwed at the running back position the rest of the year. I am not happy about this at all. Yeah,
you might need to trade, lose in a trade to get rid of a receiver in order to pull in a running back that's just going to see the field.
Yeah.
But, that kind of sucks for the Patriots. Obviously, we are both really big into Sony Michel and what he's been able to do so far this season when he's gotten ample touches. That combination with him and James White, it's perfect because White is so good as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's got that on lockdown. He can still get it done running, but he's a better pass catcher. Michel looked awesome as a natural, true running back. And adding that element to that Patriots offense, when we've seen Josh Gordon get a little bit more involved, we know what Edelman, Gronk, and Hogan can do. Man, Michel was the perfect guy for that role, and it sucks if he's going to miss any time.
That and the fact that they looked like they were going to kind of start involving him in the passing game as well.
Yeah.
I had a couple more notes I was going to say before Google Hangouts or Google Drive signed me out for some reason to update my password. Twitter doctors seem to be saying it may not be serious. It could be like a knee sprain. Hopefully it's just a week or 2, but who knows? Lots of people saying, oh, it looked terrible, could be out for the year. Other things are I think he'll be out a couple of weeks. What if he is? I'm spending all my money on Kenjon Barner this week. Barney. Yeah. I'm spending all my money, all my auction money in both my leagues. I'm literally going to spend it all in Kenjon Barner.
Yeah, I sort of feel like if there's a guy that you want, at the end of the day, you need to spend that. It's not going to do any good for you just to save it. So spend it when you can. So, yeah, if you saved it and you had Sony Michel, you almost have to at this point. You got to keep him on your roster. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. I feel for those people. My instant reaction to this one is DFSM, meaning Daily Fantasy Sports Must. I feel like these two teams, the Bears and the Patriots, have so many people that we see as bargain plays each week. And depending on that matchup, I feel like you can plug those guys in nearly every week because I don't see their prices jumping all that much. Trey Burton is always one of the cheaper tight ends. He crushed it today. He had 23 points on FanDuel. James White, he seems to play second fiddle in like the running back mix in New England always, despite the fact that he catches the ball all the time. Caught 8 more balls today, scored 25 on FanDuel. Tariq Cohen, another pass catching running back. Jordan Howard's going to be that guy, and they're kind of just like clanking back and forth. So neither of them are going to end up being high priced. You can always plug those guys in. Cohen went for 18 today. So I don't know that you necessarily want to dedicate to using them every single week, but I feel like those are like bargain plays that if you're ever stuck or in a situation, look for those running backs or Burton to just plug into that DFS lineup because, man, they are just producing so well right now.
Yeah, everybody's really good on both of these offenses that you just have to continue to use them. The Bears' defense is a little better, so there could be weeks where it's slowed down, they run. But when it comes to the Patriots, though, it's just going to be their defense is garbage. They're going to be in shootouts every week. I can't wait to see 2 weeks from now Brady and Rodgers versus each other. That's going to be a 40 to 45 point game.
That'll be sweet. That'll be like when they played Pat Mahomes again, hopefully. That was a great game.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to Andrew Luck and the Colts crushing the shit out of the quarterback-less Buffalo Bills, 37-5. What do you have?
My single-syllable instant reaction here is decisions. I never know who to start in one of my leagues. I have both Luck and Goff, and it's like, who do you go with? Goff has more of a running game, but he was really on fire earlier in the season, so I actually benched him for Luck earlier, like week 1. And Goff went off, and Luck didn't do much. And now it's like I could have played either one for a couple weeks. And these last 2 weeks, it's been like girly. So I think with the lack of running game that Luck has, if you're in this type of situation, I'm going to defer to Luck now every single week, except for next week because the Packers play the Rams.
Oh,
so
there you go. You have to do that.
Shootout. But besides that, with Luck having to throw the ball 50 times, he didn't have to do that today because he threw 4 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
He only had to throw like 27 times.
I think he had under 30 attempts, yeah.
Yeah. No. And still produced. So I'm playing Luck every week over Goff, except for next week.
Yeah, I kind of treaded lightly with him as well, and that will go into my instant reaction. But just going back to Luck real quick, I'm in a similar situation. I think I'm in a league where I have him and Rivers, and they both have tough matchups. But you look at the Bills, they have really done a pretty legit job up until this week against opposing teams' quarterbacks in fantasy. So I did not see this coming out of Luck. But it sort of shows that, yeah, Luck is back. Luck is going to be able to produce against anyone. He's sort of becoming matchup proof again like he once was. But I don't know if you can just automatically plug him in because, like you said, if you got Goff and he's playing against the Packers after what C.J. Beathard did to him, yeah, I don't think you can turn your back on Goff that week. I don't even care who the Colts play. That bleeds into my instant reaction because my instant reaction to that game is safe. Because I think you can go ahead with T.Y. Hilton moving forward as well. I benched him in a league this week, but he only had 4 catches on 4 targets, 25 yards, but 2 touchdowns. So had that really weird boom T.Y. Hilton game without having a monster game of yards. And the thing is, like, everyone was like, all right, yeah, he's coming back, but he's missed a couple of games and he's going against Tre'Davious White. It's probably a good week to sit him. Well, if he can do it against White and that Bills defense, and if Luck keeps looking that way, he's sort of matchup proof as well. So I feel like go with Luck, go with Hilton. I mean, those guys are back. You pretty much have to roll with them.
And we didn't even talk about Marlon Mack. I'm actually, for how, like, average my running backs are, I've got so many, like, average running backs that if I plug in the right guys every week, I can literally have a top 10 running back every single week. So the one good thing I did do in the drafts this year is draft a lot of very solid running backs that, based on week-to-week matchups, I've got guys. Mack went off today. Mack, 126 yards and a touchdown on the ground, 33 yards receiving, a touchdown in the air, had 2 total touchdowns. I'm so glad he's back. Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins don't even really exist anymore.
Nope. Not anymore. Probably worthy of a roster stash because we've seen Marlon Mack kind of do this before where he's flashed and then if he gets hurt or gets phased out. I don't think they're going to phase him out, but in the event that he would get hurt, you still got to hold on to Hines. But, yeah, Mack's the guy to have right now. He had another baller game.
As I said, like, he just looks more explosive. That was the thing. I liked what he had. He looks more explosive. The other guys looks just slow, and you could see that today. It's like, oh, he was fully healthy, and he was just blowing guys out of the ladder. Hopefully he continues to do that.
Right. Well, your team was off, but that doesn't stop my team from playing and losing. So let's go on to
You wish, though.
Yeah, let's go on to the Dolphins losing 21-32 to the Detroit Lions. What do you have here?
My single syllable as a reaction is God's plan. So I had to play Drake. That's another Drake song for people who don't know. I had to play Drake this week because of Hyde's trade, but I guess it was just in God's plan for me to have to do that. Because as much as I didn't want to play Drake, and I at least expected it, Drake only has 6 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. I'm happy. I'm going to end up winning the league that I needed a big win in. And I had Michelle and I had Drake, and I actually am going to win this league with you're not gonna believe this shit. With Marlon Mack on my bench, who I was debating playing in a flex position over somebody who scored 0 points. Who did I say to you? I can't remember who it was, but
I don't remember. You love your fantasy team on this podcast. I do love my fantasy team. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, you done?
Yeah, God's plan, baby.
All right, so here's my take on Drake. Man, play him if you need to, but there's no stability there whatsoever. Like you said, he busted off for all those yards. It was that one carry. Other than
plug
that,
and play.
Yeah, he had a couple of runs here and there. He missed what would have been like a 30 or 40-yard catch. He just dropped it. The next play is when he scored that touchdown. But, man, I don't know if the Dolphins are ever going to really be playing with a lead where they can really commit to the run. And even if they do, that's going to involve a lot of Frank Gore because he's just the guy that's going to get you your 4 to 5 yards per carry. Whereas Drake, like Frank Gore doesn't score on that Kenyon Drake touchdown. Like, that was a great run by Drake. It was perfect that he was in the game for that one.
Yeah,
but you're just going to – you just got to get lucky if you need to resort to Drake. I'm also going to talk about running back, and I also have a song on mine. So you had Drake. I'm going to go with a 50 Cent song because Can I Be Your Best Friend? Because Kerryon Johnson is Matt Stafford's new best friend. About 58 on the ground today. Finally fed him 19 carries. But, man, that damn tight end that I don't remember his name because I don't give a shit because Detroit tight ends don't exist. And
Michael Roberts.
Michael Roberts, there he is. The wanted Dolphin killer, as I called him to you. And LeGarrette Blount vultured those touchdowns. But today, being a Dolphins fan,
asshole.
Big time asshole, big dyke. Beginning to watch that firsthand and really seeing the guy Kerryon Johnson, I'm in like 6 leagues. I got him in like 4 of them. Getting to watch that firsthand makes me so happy that for everyone that drafted him. Because when they feed him, that dude produces. The Lions in general ran for almost 250 yards on 7 yards per carry. And I said it all offseason, if they can get to the run, if they can find success, if they can mix in Johnson and Blount, that's going to only open up things for Stafford in that passing game. Passing became easy for him. He had 4 incompletions today. 4 incompletions. It was ridiculous. That offense is legit as long as they can get dedicated a little bit to the running game.
A couple of things. I need to talk about my fantasy teams because our listeners, if they have similar situations, they can understand what I would do so they can do the same thing because I'm a fucking genius. Number 2, I handed this over to you on a platter hoping you would use the correct song for this and you didn't. It should have been Carry On My Wayward Son.
I did.
It up. You screwed it all up. I was going to use it, but I was like, I'll use Drake. Because, you know what? Kerryon's another stash running back of mine. If there's a running back out there, he's on my team.
I feel like maybe that was too easy, though. Like, everyone thinks of that song when they think of Kerryon. I went old school. I stayed with the rap theme. I'm okay with my decisions here. I'm okay with it.
I thought it was terrible. I just handed it to you.
Let's go on to another team from the NFC North that won today. The Vikings beat the Jets 37-17. What do you got?
I think this is my favorite part of every instant reaction is talking about the Vikings because this is where just my favorite thing to do. It's my single syllable instant reaction here is fool's gold. The Vikings keep allowing these shit teams to just hang around, and then they pull away at the end. But they allow them to hang around for a little bit and pull away. You know, they did that to the Cardinals. They did it with the Jets. They allowed the Bills to win with that, with them doing that just terribly. They have to coming up here. They have to face the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. Not in that order, but all in consecutive weeks. All division foes. The way the Vikings are playing, it's just a recipe for disaster for the future against these teams, and I can't wait. These are solid teams. The Lions are getting better. The Bears are good, and the Packers are a solid team who should have beat them already. If they play like that, like they are against those crappy teams, these aren't teams that are just going to like fall off to the wayside, fall off to the side like these crappy Bills and Cardinals teams. No, they're going to be there. They're going to take advantage of those weaknesses, and then they're going to pull away and win those games. They keep doing this. It could be it's going to be that 9-win season I'm talking about.
So I want to go back to, because like 3 weeks ago I said I'm predicting the Vikings to beat the Eagles, then they're going to beat the Cardinals, and then they're going to beat the Jets. And they did that. They went on that mini run. I'm so proud of myself. I bet on them every damn week. It worked out great. It was fun. And I agree with you, don't want to let a team hang around too long. But think about it this way as well. This Jets team isn't quite as bad as what it has been. The defense is a little bit better, and it was at New York. That's not the easiest place to go in and play. They still they forced Darnold to like 3 or 4 turnovers in that game.
That's what I was going to say. He had that many turnovers, and they let them stay in the game.
Yeah, they still won by 20.
Yeah, because they pull away at the end. I mean, it took so long. You're not going to get those turnovers from an Aaron Rodgers team the way the Bears are played. You're not going to get those opportunities, and you're just going to be there. You're going to lose those games because they're not the Bills and the well, they lost to the Bills. I can keep going back to that. They lost to the goddamn Bills.
No. Remember we said this a couple weeks ago. That game does not exist anymore. That game didn't happen.
Yes, it did. It's on the record.
All right, you're gonna have to really pay attention to my instant reaction here to follow along.
I got it.
Because my instant reaction to the Vikings and Jets is Jarvis Landry. Because Stephon Diggs put up the ultimate Jarvis Landry game today. 8 catches. 33 yards on 14 targets. That's a whopping 4.1 yards per catch. And our boy Thielen did it again. 110 touchdown, 9 catches on 10 targets. He's like 1 game away now from setting the NFL record for most consecutive games with over 100 receiving yards. He tied it today.
Oh, it was 7 today. I thought it would be the 8 next game tying Johnson.
Regardless, he's damn close. He's going to beat it. He's going to beat it. Doesn't matter. We keep thinking that Stephon Diggs is going to go off, but it seems like Diggs has just kind of become, especially in this game, he's like this check down guy, whereas I was so used to seeing Diggs like making plays over the top. It's almost like Thielen has taken this role of becoming the receiver that gets like all the medium to deep routes now. So it's almost like a changing of the guard. And in our fantasy rankings before the season started, I had Thielen ahead of Diggs, and I kind of saw it coming like, all right, Diggs is going to have some boom weeks, but Thielen's going to be that consistent guy. And we've seen like 1 boom week out of Diggs, 1 or 2. But, man, Thielen has been that consistent guy. I'm so glad that I have him in a league, and, man, he's doing it. I don't even know if you want to add anything to that, because I think he's the best receiver that we've seen probably since Rice.
Okay, so the next 5 games for the Vikings are, in order, the Saints, the Lions, the Bears, the Packers, and the Patriots.
Sounds like 5 more 100-yard receiving games.
They lose 3 out of 5 of those games. Lock it in.
Yeah, I'm done saying with the mini run. Like, I was on 3 games, now I'm going to probably go off a little bit, so that's fine.
They lose 3 out of those 5.
Well, let's talk about that game that you wanted to talk about right away. The Panthers beat the Eagles.
I want to talk about it.
21-17. Go ahead and talk about it now.
My single syllable instant reaction here is fist fucking. Because you gotta be fist fucking me. I'm well on my way to covering this game. Super easy. They're blowing them out 17-0. Panthers can't do anything. It's like, oh, I don't have to watch this game anymore. I almost wrote it down as a win in my book. But then you know what happened? The Eagles got a little relaxed. They got a little bit too lackadaisical. They allowed them to come back in the game by playing those prevent defenses. Like, they look like the Packers in the playoff games when they're just blitzing somebody, and then they stop being aggressive and allow the team to come back and lose an NFC Championship game to the Seattle Seahawks before they go to the Super Bowl. Anyways, they got relaxed. They allowed Cam and Funchies get comfortable, get into a rhythm. That game was a fluke. The Eagles were the better team. The Panthers fell into a rhythm because the Eagles let them That game was a fluke. I still feel like the Eagles won that game. I'm pissed because I should have easily won that game on my sheet, but fluke. That was a fluke.
If you listened to our Week 7 preview pod, you would know that when we do our against the spread picks, DJ was obviously on the Eagles side, and I had the Panthers. So everything he just said, I'm going to say the opposite of, because I am thankful, meaning my instant reaction is actually LeVar Ball. Because if you think back to one of the interviews he had probably a year or so ago, he came up with this song, and it was real simple, but it pertains perfectly to this. Because I was given a gift in this game for winning. And the song goes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because,
What
man,
an idiot that guy is.
I love that guy. They were down 17 going into the fourth quarter. They score 21, not to win, but also to cover that bet. I didn't see a lot of this game, so I was hoping you would go into what kind of happened there as to like how they even came back. I thought the Eagles were this team that everyone plays better with the lead. But the Eagles are perfect for it because they already have a good defense, and then they can rush you from the edge as well and get to your quarterback. It's like, what in the hell happened in this game? Like, how did they possibly give it up when you're up 14 going into the last quarter? But regardless of how it happened,
sitting back.
Yeah, like you said, they went into prevent, however it ended up breaking down. But hey, as LeVar said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm in.
That was garbage.
Loved it. Let's talk a little bit about the Buccaneers and the Browns. The Buccaneers escape with an overtime victory, 26-23.
My single syllable instant reaction here is deja vu. How does this team keep playing in fucking overtime?
They should have 3 ties this year.
How does this happen? It doesn't matter what the damn score is. They're down like 21-0 against the Saints. They're down like 3 touchdowns in this game, I believe. It's incredible. It's incredible. No matter what the score is, they find a way to work so hard to get back in it or allow the team to get back in it. Nobody works harder to get into a tie game in overtime than the Browns, no matter what the score.
You know what it is?
What?
It is the ultimate definition of a gradual improvement. This team couldn't win for 2 years, and now they're just getting to ties.
Is this one of their 3rd or 4th overtime game in 7 games?
I think it's like their 8th.
It's unbelievable. Side note, my boy Njoku is starting to come through for me, and I'm glad we stuck together through the first rough part of our relationship in fantasy, and I stuck with him. He stuck with me. It's starting to pay off. Just like all the rest of my FanDuel picks today, Njoku was great. I'm happy to have him on my team for these few weeks with the matchups they have coming up.
Yeah, I loved him as well. That bleeds perfectly into my instant reaction because mine is stack of the week. Because if you listen to our preview pod, we were talking about Njoku. We talked about those running backs that went off in that Bears game. But my stack of the week was the Baker and Juice Landry. They both got 21 points, which is exactly what I needed. Juice, 10 catches on 15 targets, almost 100 yards, and a touchdown. And Baker, man, it's in his name. You were texting me, calling him out after the first half. His name is Baker. You got to let him bake. He had that struggling in the first half. Then he comes back, winds up with 215, 2 touchdowns, another 43 yards on the ground. We put out our daily fantasy bargain play article. And hopefully you looked at that because we made a lot of mention of some Browns in this game. And Baker did well. Chubb did well. Landry did well. Njoku did well. So if you're not, make sure you check out those articles first and foremost. But second, just want to shout it out. They didn't get the win. Baker's going through a couple growing pains. But man, let him bake. Let him bake, DJ.
Ben's talking shit, but whose stack was better? His or mine with Mitch Trubisky, 330 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 81 rushing, plus another touchdown on the ground, stacked with Tarek Cohen with 8 catches, 1 receiving touchdown, and I told you to play Jarvis Landry as well. So, whose advice did you want to take this week?
Well, I wasn't dogging you. I'm not dogging you whatsoever. But hey, was that...
Just saying, I just had to put you down a little bit.
Was that Trubisky game the ultimate, like... Oh, gosh. Was that Trubisky game, though, like the ultimate, like, really good fantasy performance and not so great? Because from what I saw, man, he had a lot of bad throws today. He went from that quarterback that was like...
No, both those... Did you watch it?
I saw some of it.
Both those interceptions were a case of wide receiver not going up and making a play for your quarterback one-on-one. At worst, those should have been incompletions. But they were one-on-one, give your wide receiver a chance. I think I don't put those interceptions on Trubisky. He played very well. They had a solid chance to win this game easily.
Man, I just hope that you're really all in on Trubisky, and it's kind of reminiscent.
I'm glad they lost, though. I can't be. I feel like I'm a Bears fan, but I'm glad they lost. I needed them to lose.
Works for you. But your love for Trubisky is really sort of like your love for this other guy that we're about to talk about. Because it's kind of reminding me of what you feel about for Blake Bortles. Because they lost again today to the Texans, a team I know you hate. They only put up 7 points. And that wasn't even Blake Bortles' 7 points. So let me start on this one. Because my instant reaction to the Jaguars' 20-7 loss to the Texans is Super Bowl. Now hear me out. I said all along, all the Jaguars need to be Super Bowl contenders as a quarterback. And damn it, they've got it. All they needed to get rid of was Blake Bortles. Cody Kessler comes in. It's not that he did great. He did get a touchdown. But hey, once they get a new quarterback in there, that's going to spark the defense. That defense is coming back to life. At some point, hopefully this year, Fournette comes back. They just traded for Carlos Hyde. I am just happy that they are experimenting with something else. Maybe they'll make a move at the deadline. Probably not, but maybe they'll try Kessler. Who knows? All you need is a quarterback at this point that can manage the damn game. And Blake Bortles can't even seem to manage a game at this point. I'm just happy that we can talk about the Jags. And you can't really stick up for that guy because he finally got benched for Cody Kessler. Go ahead, DJ. That silence, you guys, is not the fact that DJ got kicked off. It's that he just doesn't want to talk about it. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see his shit-eating grin. But I'm just so happy that it happened. So as DJ takes a drink of his beer, we'll give him a quick out on this one. And we'll talk about the Saints holding on to beat the Ravens 24-23. DJ, if you're able to speak at this point, go ahead.
So my single syllable for this game is slow and steady, all right? This is the way the Saints need to play in order to win games. You saw it last year. Run the ball, quick pass. Defense is much better. You can see it. Their defense is so much better. It's not a terrible defense as long as they don't have to run back and forth on the field and Drew Brees is scoring touchdowns in 6 plays. It seems like they're getting back to last year's team. With the Mark Ingram, Kamara, quick pass game, everything, allow that defense to get some rest, play these tough games like this. These are the kind of games you need to grind it out against the Ravens defense, who's first in scoring, versus the Saints offense, who's first in scoring.
Right.
They now have those two guys back in tandem. They can feed Michael Thomas on the short pass plays when they need to. They can get it to Kamara. They can run it with Ingram, play the solid defense, get to the quarterback. This team can turn around, win the NFC South now that they have those guys back. It's what they needed. And we were saying this, I know Kamara started off hot, but they started off 1-4, right? This is how they need to win. This is it.
Yep. Yeah, and we talked about it before. Ingram's going to make Kamara better. Like, maybe not in certain, splashes. You'll see, if Kamara can dominate the touches, yeah, that's great. But over the entire course of a season, having both of those guys, in our opinion, I'll speak for you, because I think you feel the same way, that's going to make him better. It's going to keep him fresher. Those big plays are going to end up coming. Maybe the touches drop a little bit, but he's going to be more fresh. He's just going to be more productive when he's actually out on the field. I want to talk about the other team and about fantasy as well for my instant reaction, because my instant reaction is the guy you don't want to trust. Because John Brown, once again, he went for over 130 yards today, caught the touchdown at the very end, which should have tied it, but then old Justin Tucker misses the extra point and they end up losing by 1. But every single week on Twitter, we get fantasy football listener questions. And I feel like every single week, John Brown is involved in those. Should I play him versus this, and this guy? And it boils down to everyone is still so scared because of what Joe Flacco and that Ravens offense has been for so many years. He's been over 80 yards 4 times now, and he's got 4 touchdowns in 7 weeks. So is it time that we need to consider John Brown like a wide receiver 3 flex must play? Or is it still you really got to look at the matchups when it comes to him?
With this Ravens offense, you can't really – I don't like – if you listen to us week to week, I don't talk about the Ravens much because we're a fantasy focused with, we obviously talk NFL, DFS, betting. But when we're talking fantasy, I just don't like to talk about this team because offensively, there's just nobody consistently that I want to play. Like, even Alex Collins only had 38 yards rushing or some shit today.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that I trust. So, yeah, I guess John Brown's playing good, and maybe that's due to the fact that Joe Flacco actually throws a decent long. Like, that's been the best part of his game is that he throws it good deep, and that's where John Brown's at his best. So, yeah, obviously, with the stats you just dropped on us, 80 yards 4 times now, 4 touchdowns. He's a guy you got to plug and play into that lineup depending on who they're playing, but you're going to be relying on him next week, I guarantee it, and he's going to have 12 yards and 2 catches because this offense will end up running it 54 times.
Well, it's crazy, too, because he's sort of a forgotten man because 2 years ago with the Cardinals, like, he was getting behind defenses, and he was the receiver. Like, he was doing a very good job. And then last year, like, sickle cell took over his life, and he just couldn't get going. I had him in a couple of leagues, and it was frustrating, which basically put him on, like, a no draft. I don't even want to touch him this year. And yeah, he has been like the consistent producer. Everyone thought Crabtree was going to end up coming from the Raiders over to the Ravens. If there's any resemblance of a passing game, everyone really thought it would go through Crabtree. And Crabtree's had a couple of okay weeks here and there, but it's been John Brown that's had the boom weeks and even more consistent. So yeah, you're to the point where you almost need to start like looking at him as a weekly option. But I understand if you're asking questions and don't trust it because I don't blame you at all, just because of what Flacco and the Ravens have done to receivers in the past. Like, I totally get it.
Don't trust them.
Don't trust them. We got 2 games left, I believe. Let's talk about the Rams knocking out the 49ers, 39-10. What do you got here?
My single syllable instant reaction here is boring/scared. The Rams are just getting boring to talk about because they're putting up like over 30 points. Like, it's the same thing over and over again. They're just dominating every single game offensively. You can't hold this team to under like 30 points if they want to score 30 points. When it comes to fantasy, play everyone. It's like we're saying the same thing over and over again. There's not even any more to talk about when it comes to this. Also, I'm scared because the Packers are the next victim in their onslaught here. Fucking Halloween.
Yeah. Is the game really on Halloween? Halloween week, anyways.
Like 3 days before Halloween.
Nice. My single syllable instant reaction is revisit, because I want to revisit our DFS talk, because we'd mentioned Gurley being a running back on FanDuel being over $10,000 this last week. And we debated whether or not you could get by with using him, or if he'd even be worth it. I'm looking at his numbers here. He only had 15 carries. He only had 4 receptions. So he had under 20 touches. And he still put up, just quick math, I think he had like around like 22, 23 FanDuel points. So he didn't hit that 30 threshold, which he's hit, I think, in back-to-back weeks before this. But still, I mean, that's not a bad deal. And we talked about how can you fit Gurley into your lineup. And it was those guys you mentioned. It was Landry. It was Trubisky, Cohen, James White. Like, you could formulate a roster. And if you use those guys and matched them with Todd Gurley, pretty sure you were winning some matchups this week in FanDuel. So, yeah, I think it might have been worth it. I'm kind of scared to see what he'll be in the future weeks.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's going to be $12,000 next weekend.
It literally will be $12,000. And you're going to use it.
He will be $40,000 by the end of the year.
You can't even fill an entire roster if you use Gurley.
You need to use $2,000 players the rest of your lineup.
Yep, that's how it goes. All right, let's wrap it up here with the Redskins beating the Cowboys 20-17. What do you got?
My single syllable is horsey. Well, you notice I could have said horse because that would actually be a single syllable, but what fun would that be? You gotta say horsey. The reason I say that is because is Gallup a guy you consider keeping in dynasty leagues? He seems like a real talented guy who could be a top wide receiver in the league soon. Had a long touchdown today, kind of pokes his head in every now and then. You can kind of see that talent creeping through. Is he a guy, you got him really late, you're stashing him, you're hanging on to him in dynasty leagues?
Dynasty for sure. Keeper league, I'd be a little bit more on edge, depending on how your keeper league is set up. But dynasty, I mean, yeah, you're holding on to this guy. And you might have been in a league where, yeah, you took a chance on this guy, and for how little output he showed right away, you were probably like, oh, why did I invest a pick in this guy? Is there a free agent wide receiver that can do better? But yeah, I mean, at this point, I didn't get to see a ton of this game, But I did see his touchdown. I did see a couple of nice plays by Dak. I know he threw the long one. I know he ran one in. Maybe Dak is onto something a little bit here. I'd like to see Gallup continue to make strides. But we talked about it in the preseason podcast that we do. It takes a little bit for rookie wide receivers to come on. Like the Mike Evans, the Jarvis Landrys, the Odell Beckham Jr.'s, like those are they're like outliers in the situation that it just makes like, oh God, if you're not producing, you're not worthy of a spot. Where if you're a rookie wide receiver and you get like 800 yards and 3 to 5 touchdowns, that's still probably a really good season and you're onto something. We don't see receivers oftentimes really develop and take off until year 3. Look at Tyler Boyd. He was literally nothing the first couple of years in his career. Now he's a top like 12 fantasy receiver. The guy's going off. So, yeah, you need to be a little bit patient with these kind of guys, especially in that offense, because there's really nothing outside of Zeke right now that scares defenses. So, yeah, in my opinion, hold on to Gallup. See what ends up transpiring. The talent is there. Hopefully they can bring in a couple other guys to just free up a little bit of space.
Yeah. Is Dak the answer? I don't know. I don't think I like him.
We could have a whole podcast on his Dak the answer. We'll save that for the
Tony
offseason.
Romo needs to get back out there.
Holy shit.
Why is he doing every damn Cowboys game? Do you think he comes into these games like, fucking A, why do I get stuck with the Cowboys every week? Like, this is so uncomfortable for me.
That's the thing. It's like you kind of almost have to be careful what he said because like the majority of people that really love Tony Romo are Cowboys fans. So now are you gonna kill your legacy over like making a comment that your fans aren't gonna like? Probably because you're getting paid a lot of money to be the number one guy there on the CBS crew. But yeah, I get it, man. He just be like boycott, be like, give me anyone else, like anyone, give me the Titans. That's all I ask for. Yeah. My instant reaction for this game is actually not about this game. I had text you, and I don't want to necessarily do this for this podcast, but for our preview podcast, we always do like a fantasy football like listener segment, whether it's trade proposals or start sits. I sort of want to work in an underrated, overrated segment. As DJ picks his nose on live television, that's not live, but if you watch it, it's kind of like it's live. So I'm thinking for this overrated, underrated thing, it can be fantasy football related, NFL related, or it can just be in life in general. So I want to give you guys a couple of examples. And let's say overrated. Mitch Trubisky. Everyone was on him. So what I would want you to do is say what you think it is and then give like a brief summary. So just an example. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. It's just what I came up with right away.
Yeah.
Everyone was on Mitch Trubisky after that game against the Bucs, after that game against the Dolphins. And then he comes up this week. And like I said, man, from what I saw from the reports that I was reading, there was some missed throws. There were some missed opportunities. He was missing some guys. And I get it. You already spoke your piece, but I'm just giving an example. So that could be my overrated. Or I could say my underrated is getting wiser with age. Because being alive, being not hungover, waking up knowing exactly where I am as I'm at this older stage in my life, and having these games that start at 8:30 in the morning, I'm so happy that I'm a little bit wiser because I remember one of these games in the past. I ended up playing a tight end that ended up being inactive. And if I had put my other guy in, if I wasn't hungover, I would have won my match. This morning, I was clear-minded. I felt great. I learned that Melvin Gordon was out. Boom, got him out of my lineup. Got a new guy in. Getting wiser with age is underrated.
Overrated, hand jobs.
Oh, I can't agree more.
I have reasons, but I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
Holy tits.
Nice. Do you have an underrated or do you want to check it out?
Nope, I'm ready to call her tonight and watch this Bengals-Chiefs game, which should be a great one.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, as always, follow us on
I'm trying to
Twitter.
make my money back here.
Yeah, DJ's chasing. He's chasing.
I am on tilt. I'm parlaying the Bengals and the over tonight. So either you see me going off on Twitter or you see me killing myself. So one of the two. It's gonna be like a super depressive Twitter tweets that you see from me are just like the most ecstatic. I'm making some of my money back finally.
If DJ's not on our next podcast, it's because he's in jail for selling dope. Before I wrap it up, let's talk real quick about Pristine Auction because they have daily auctions packed with tons of stuff for the man cave. They guarantee their items. They all come with certificates of authenticity from only the trusted sources. Damn it, it is close to holiday season. Bid on a couple of auctions. It's free to bid. You only pay when you win. It's quick and easy to register. Make sure you mention the Loaded Box podcast when you register in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Like I said, holidays are coming up. Get that man in your life a little bit of stuff for his man cave. You'll love it. www.pristineauction.com. Like I was trying to say earlier, we're on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. Next episode, we'll be back with our Week 8 NFL and Fantasy Football preview. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on YouTube. We are everywhere you want us to be. We're on Spotify now. I don't know how to get there, but we're on Spotify. And with that, DJ, send us away.
Bye.